everyone, I'm Alex and I'm the hands behind Lovecraft Crochet. My plushies are for the anxious, depressed, autistic, and neurodivergent. Small enough to travel in a purse, backpack, diaper bag, or even your pocket. You can check out my Facebook page or TikTok to see what patterns are available and stay tuned for the new ones coming out. I also make hats, scarves, blankets, and dice bags for the tabletop gamer or dice goblin in your life. Feel free to order through the page, TikTok DMs, or via email at love.craft.crochet@gmail.com. Now, on to the segment.
Due to the graphic and disturbing nature of the crimes discussed, listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Killing 15 Minutes, the True Crimes Quickie Podcast. Even though we haven't used that tagline in a while.
We really haven't.
No, we haven't. I'm Sam Rossi, who usually is the one writing these scripts, reading a script from AJ Carey, who's usually reading these scripts. It's a mixed-up world here.
Hi, I'm AJ Carey. I'm also in the room while she records this.
Yeah. In the first episode, we examined how Jeffrey Epstein accumulated power. In the second, about how the injustice system failed to contain him. I think I'll keep with injustice system.
Fair enough. Injustice system works.
This episode, we pivot to ask a little bit of a different question. How did Epstein continue operation in the open even after his conviction, as light as it was? The answer lies not in secrecy, but the structure. This is a breakdown of his network. When Epstein was released from jail in 2009, he was a convicted sex offender. That fact alone has many limitations in the world, but for Epstein, very little changed. Epstein returned to his Manhattan mansion and his other properties unperturbed.
Yeah, they didn't. He was unlimited. He still had unlimited everything. Nothing changed outside of the fact that he had to pay some of his victims. And even then, while the amount was not disclosed, he had infinite power at this point. So he had infinite money. So it became, hey, what's a fine if not just laws for poor people?
Right. He resumed international travel and hosting guests, and institutions continued business with him. If there was any hiccups in his professional life after, it wasn't enough to show. Really, though, it wasn't just Epstein. Assistants scheduled his travel. House managers oversaw his properties. Pilots flew private aircraft, and security controlled access. While that sounds like standard for the wealthy, and even the slightly sleazy way to turn a blind eye, generally, that shifts after conviction. Even within the initial investigation, several employees were alleged to have facilitated recruitment and enforced the silence of his victims. Granted, there were some staff members who, in civil suits, later denied wrongdoing or invoked a lack of authority in the just following orders way. But what matters isn't the individual intent, but the tolerance of that behavior.
Tums time. Tums. Nope.
It's brand new.
I noticed.
You're going to have to do the other one, too.
How dare they? If only there wasn't a Tylenol killer. Episode, whatever the hell. We have an episode on the Tylenol killer.
We do,
At least the first one. I don't think we did the second one, did we?
We talked about the one that was unsolved.
Oh, okay.
All right, where were we? Tolerance of that behavior. Epstein's organization functioned primarily because there was no incentive to say no. Epi paid well, and that had an aura, so everyone who managed his affairs would be on his side.
I mean, think about it. If you've got deep enough pockets, hey, I'm not sure I like this. Cool, here's another 20,000.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
In 2010, Epstein's house manager, Alfredo Rodriguez, was charged and served 18 months after he tried selling off his logbook when he was house manager. He got that because it meant he did indeed hide evidence since investigators, after confiscating it, found that it would have been a huge benefit to their case. Granted, double jeopardy could not retroactively go back through, plus immunity and all that.
Yeah, I hate that fact. I like Double Jeopardy. I think Double Jeopardy is a good movie. No, I think it's a good in concept, on paper. Double Jeopardy is great. However, if you get, because this allegedly, I believe it should be in the FBI Epstein files that was just released. It's not, last I knew, but Alfredo Rodriguez, because it was federal investigators that got it. But he was trying to sell the thing for $20,000, which I think I personally would have at least gone with like $1 million at the very least, because it was not just a logbook. It was a logbook, but it was, here's who showed up, here's what they did while here. You know what I mean? It was it would be the list, essentially.
It is the list.
Yeah, it is who showed up. These people. It's not flight logs where you could argue he was a friend who was just piloting them to, hey, I need a lift to Florida. I've got to go to Orlando. Okay, you can hop on my plane, friend.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
There is wiggle. There's some wiggle room.
It stops being circumstantial evidence and more being, here's an itemized list of who showed up.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But yeah, he got the same amount of time in trying to sell and getting for, what's the official thing? Withholding evidence. He got 18 months for withholding evidence. Epstein got 18 months for, officially soliciting a minor. However, unlike Epi, he actually... Sorry, I'll let you read the paragraph where I say that.
It does say something that he got the same amount of time for withholding evidence as Epi did for actually sexually assaulting young girls. And he didn't have money to make his own B&B like Epstein did. That was just something to bring up. Back to network. Financial institutions also played a major role. Epstein maintained accounts on many major banks for years, even after his conviction and death. In later court filings, J.P. Morgan Chase did actually acknowledge a long-standing relationship with Epstein and admitted their failures in oversight. Deutsche Bank was later fined by regulators for compliance failures.
Did you call it douche bank?
Deutsch. That's what I said.
You said douche. Deutsch.
That's what I said. Deutsche Bank was later fined by regulators for compliance failures related to Epstein as well. Of course, there was no criminal convictions, but there were at least acknowledgments of a breakdown. Risk was identified and managed, not eliminated. So, one bank in the U.S., one bank, I would assume that was the bank in Germany.
Deutsche Bank, I believe, would be Germany. It makes sense. It's Deutsch.
That's right. Okay. So, Germany said they fucked up. Chase Morgan said they fucked up. Now, we say Germany fucked up, not just the bank, but because the regulators.
Well, that's exactly it. It was less Deutsche Bank said they fucked up like JP Morgan did. It was regulators turned around and said, you guys fucked up. And then they went, yeah, okay, we did.
Yeah. So.
And there are more banks that are definitely should be held culpable because, again, officially on paper, yes, Epstein was a millionaire. However, he got a lot more than millions of dollars because of loans against, his properties, liens against, you know what I mean?
He had a great debt balance.
Your standard, how are you a millionaire? Oh, easy. Because I actually don't have any fucking assets. Everything's fake. And that's really the sign of the times, is that our millionaires aren't millionaires because they're millionaires. It's because they can take loans out to be millionaires. It's why I always hate when people are like, oh, Musk has like $7 billion or $700 billion. No. He actually gets paid in stock, so he doesn't pay taxes, which a lot of people like going, well, yes, he did. He paid the most taxes. Yes, because he had to fucking liquidate because of his stock options expiring. So he had to pay $11 billion because he didn't pay on anything previously. And currently, there's no sign that he's actually continued that. He's continued doing the pay me in stock options.
It's not a stupid way to do it, but
it's stupid on a economic level. It's smart on an individual level.
Yes, you're
because
right.
The economy works when you have set numbers. And with the digitization of finances, we have lost actual currency.
They just canceled the penny.
We haven't needed pennies in a long time. Actually, we only need pennies. If you ask anyone who has air quote money, everyone's okay. They have pennies. Anyway, sorry. That was its own crash out.
The legitimacy brought up by his ties with philanthropy and academia provided a shield. He can't be a bad person if he gives to charities, right? It's a time-honored tradition outside of tax exemptions.
I do like bringing up tax exemptions because it's always he made a non-profit business.
Tax exemption.
It's a tax exemption, and he's using that non-profit to
funnel money.
It's sort of why, Epstein made a non-profit business to pay for his own jailing.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. I think a lot of people, that is ludicrous. And I'm not talking Luda. I'm just saying I'm not saying she's crazy. I'm saying she's fucking goofy.
Yeah.
It's just fucking, sorry. Epstein donated millions.
Epstein donated millions to universities and research institutions, including Harvard. Although Harvard famously said they weren't going to give back his donations, which is fair.
It is.
I'll be honest, on the research portion of it, it's blood money, but
he gave $50 million and now that's going into research for cancer or research for this, that, transgenic mice, whatever. And it's fair. Harvard has absolutely no culpability in going, yes, he's a bad person, because they did turn around and were like, he did bad things.
We ain't giving back
his money's going to do good things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those don't hate the player, hate the game, but they also hate the player so they can keep the game money. They keep the money to play the game.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So I'll be honest, I have no issues with the institution.
And why the hell would Harvard know about how he got the money? I mean, after the stage when they did turn around and go, we're not giving his money back.
Yeah, before
why would you give him $50 million back? Like if he's that's sort of where I get this. Let's go to the next one because I love who did give him his donations back.
Some were unaware of his crimes at all. Others just distanced themselves from talking about him when public scrutiny intensified. The great thing to know is that several politicians and people who were otherwise in that boat also gave back the donations or otherwise used it for more altruistic things. It is hilarious that Elliot Spitzer would return his donation. For anyone outside of New York or the U.S., or wasn't really paying attention to the blissful 2000s. I miss the 2000s.
Yeah.
Elliot Spitzer was the governor of New York from 2007 to 2008. Some of you may go, oh, wow, that's a really short time to be governor of anything. I don't even think votes get counted that quickly. You'd be right. Because he resigned in 2008. No, it wasn't because of him using state troopers to spy on his opposition, nor was it because when he put out an executive order to give illegal, oh my God, I forgot about this, to give illegal immigrants driver's ID, a move that we are still hearing people bitch about today.
It was stupid.
No, that was the whores. Yep. He was a patron of...
No, 'twas the whores, sister.
No.
Be classy about it.
'Twas the whores. Yep. He was a patron of the Emperor's Club VIP. Speaking of being a patron, become a patron.
I forgot I put this joke in.
All right, hold on a second. Give me a minute. He was a patron of the Emperor's Club VIP. Speaking of, become a patron so we can go on-site investigation into that. AJ, that was a stupid joke. My wife would never let me go without her.
Stop doing that in front of your mic. I thought that was a really good joke, though.
Hey.
My wife would never let me go without her.
Point is, even Spitzer, who actually solicited... Oh, God, okay. Point is that even Spitzer, who was actually soliciting prostitutes, was like, dude, the hell, and gave back whatever it was. Bill Richardson also gave back his donation, but that wasn't as fun as Spitzer, since Richardson is also named by several of the victims as Epstein's client, along with Virginia...
Like from Virginia Gifford?
Gifford?
Giffrey. It's not funny, she was a rape victim. I'm sorry.
Who maintained he was one of her assaulters the entire time. Personally, her autobiography, Nobody's Girl, is heartbreaking, especially since it was released posthumously after she took her own life. But that leads perfectly to the fact that Epstein maintained access and blackmail on political figures and social elites. Photographs, flight logs, and even little black books all documented the meetings with public figures he had. And it was across party lines. The party divide is just a social construct to get citizens to fight each other, kids. They want your money. They don't want you to do anything about it. They want to spend it. They want to cause wars. They have war money. They don't have fucking public education money, but they have money to give tax breaks to corporations. Why? Why can companies...
Sissy? Sweetie? Pookie?
Goddamn Ronald Reagan!
Sweetie? Sam?
Yes.
I like how it took 6 seasons, roughly, for you to finally go, sure, let's talk politics. Sammy, you're worrying me.
Granted, association is not guilt, but access was not accidental. The same social insulation that protected Epstein before his conviction remained intact afterwards, and even after his death. While every layer feels daunting, and in essence, if you remove one block, it comes tumbling down, but the individuals didn't matter compared to the role of silence. Non-disclosure agreements, confidential settlements, private resolutions. The mechanisms to silence those that could hinder his operation are legal and effective. They reduce visibility, fragment accountability. They ensure that no single institution bears the full weight of responsibility. Epstein didn't need protection from everyone, just enough people at enough points to keep moving. This is where the narratives This is where narratives often drift towards conspiracy, but a conspiracy isn't required. Each institution made decisions that prioritize stability over disruption. It's a psychological need for normalcy that often allows most crimes to go unchecked. Banks assess financial risk. Universities assess reputational risks. Employers assess liability. No one had a stake in assuming harm. No one had a stake in assessing harm. So the harm continued. For years after his conviction, Epstein continued to abuse girls and young women, according to multiple civil complaints. These were not failures of imagination. They were failures in interventions. The system did not lack information against him. It lacked urgency. Jeffrey Epstein's crimes did not persist because he was invisible. They persist because he was tolerated. Enabled by institutions that treated him as an asset that needed to be managed rather than a threat to be stopped. Next week in the final written episode, we'll explain how the tolerance collapsed, what happened to Epstein in 2019, and what accountability still remains unresolved.
Discuss? Let's not discuss, but yes, ultimately this episode is not about his actual crimes, it's about the failure of the world, pretty much. And that is the most depressing thing about this. And that's the sad part, I think, is that Epstein, he was a monster. but he was a monster made possible by the world he inhabited. He was able to do what he did because, no one wanted to turn around and be like, hey man, the fuck? Until it became an accountability thing. Until JP Morgan had to actually acknowledge, why did they acknowledge it? It wasn't from goodness of their heart.
They wanted to get ahead of any bad press.
Elliot Spitzer, famously, not actually a good person. Made bad decisions. He made bad decisions.
He was actually a pretty good governor.
He didn't have a chance to govern. He was better than Cuomo, though. Point is, a lot less old people died under Elliot Spitzer's watch than Andy Cuomo's.
True story.
But Spitzer turning around and giving back his donation, that wasn't Spitzer being like, hey man, I condone prostitution. I don't condone this. You know what I mean? It was him going, I need good press. I'm gonna distance myself from this person and even be like, I don't want your blood money. Despite the fact that technically means that whatever donation he gave is now back in Epstein's pocket.
True.
You know what I mean? Hey, I'm going to take his money and I'm going to start a women's battered shelter.
Battered women's shelter?
Sure. But the point is, you know what I mean? Instead of using the money for altruism, again, the only reason I added that line is because we don't know all the people who he did donate money to.
Correct.
I mean, if someone wanted to go through and make a full list, that is possible because you are supposed to
report.
Thank you. It's why we know what they have to disclose what donations came from who.
Right.
Except unless you don't, because that's also a fucking big thing now. Sorry, Clarence Thomas, you have to say that you were given $15 billion. No, it wasn't 15 billion. But still, the Supreme Court...
Wasn't it 15 million?
It was, I think it was officially like only 100,000, but he was then given a $1.5 million fucking vacation or something like that. It was not direct donations. It was indirect. But the point is, that's what I think. Has everyone truly disliked this? Is not just that Epstein was bad or that his clients will never face any form of justice. It's the fact that the system in place makes it so Epstein could continue doing this, or that his clients will never see any form of justice. Like, I'm 90% sure Elliot Spitzer was a client of Epstein. Because he was a political figure, he was the governor of New York, and Epstein needed that coverage. You saw it with pretty much anything he did. It was a matter of, how can I get the access and leverage over this person to continue what I'm doing?
Yeah.
He was very good at numbers. And when you're very good at numbers, you can get 1 + 1 = 2. So, I know that's a poor way of phrasing it, but it is one of those. Ultimately, you can see kind of how Epstein used a very rudimentary mathematical system, or the mathematician logic.
Yes.
Of, this is the simplest, easiest way to get to this answer. And that was honestly one of the things that really, on researching this, pisses me off, is, like I said in this, it's not that he had to be protected all the time. He just had to have protection at very specific points.
He needed protection when it happened in Palm Beach. He needed protection when the FBI started investigating him, which pushed the...
Exactly. It's and I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. Social insulation, or insulation in general, isn't total. It's filling spot gaps.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no real way to insulate yourself from, I'm inviting underage women to my house. So how do we do that? We do A, B, C. This covers this covers this covers this. And then once one of those blocks is removed, the Jenga tower should come tumbling down.
But right now, it's like playing Jenga with civil engineers. Have you seen that meme?
Yes.
They look it up. It's hilarious. Jenga engineering students. Great.
Okay, let's fucking finish Epstein.
All right. So let's go on to part 4. I'm Sam Rossi.
I'm AJ Carey. Do the social stuff, do the share stuff. Look at us on YouTube. We've got our episodes from the past now with pictures.
I'm Sam Rossi.
I'm AJ Carey.
Later, y'all.
Keep on carrying on.
C-A-R-E-Y. Because
Carry On Productions.